We're here with Dr. Sopoci, and we're going to take a look at something. You'll see a screenshot of this. It's actually an x-ray of the neck. And what we're going to do is take a little walk down two systems of thought on how practitioners will look at the same problem, looking for different ways to get to a resolution of us or a solution. Obviously, we're into what might be called alternative or natural medicine. How would a more traditional practitioner probably look at the situation with the vertebrae, the compression of the discs, and so forth that this x-ray reveals?
Well, the x-ray here is showing levels of 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
This is in the neck.
Yeah, in the cervical neck, at 3, 4, and 5, the disc spaces are adequate, but when you start getting down into the level 6 and 7, you can see very narrowing of the disc space. Typically what they're going to say that is degenerative neck issues or degenerative disc disease. Arthritis is another term they'll start using. I've actually heard people even say this is a result of aging that this happens. The problem with aging is if you look at the vertebrae up at C3 and C4, those are actually made at the same time as C6 and C7.
Yeah, and they look pristine.
Exactly. And so if it's a result of aging, that should take place in every level of your body. But what they don't necessarily address is the stress that's being put on those areas. As we get further down into the neck, because of the chronic things that we go through on a daily basis, most of our jobs may be sitting or something that's involved with our head being down, puts more load and more stress in that area. So
for example, if we're talking about a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old and they're walking around like this all day?
That's becoming a common thing.
That could be common.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So typically, if it gets so bad, they're going to be thinking about some type of a surgical, or before that, maybe even shots or something to help with the inflammation. Now, what we have to really look at is, okay, what's the underlying stress? How can we start to remove that? And with the Avasi device, one of the great things is we can even go in there now and start to create an environment with better circulation. So that's now going to start changing that inflammation. We're improving the blood flow in that area. So now that changes how the whole muscle area is being affected.
So if you're reducing inflammation in an area and the blood flow, the circulation, the perfusion is increasing, is that bringing more fluid? Can that help rehydrate spongy tissue?
Yes, but that's one of the things also homework-wise I'm going to tell someone we've got to change the issue in that area as well. So we start getting in that energy, we improve that area, but if we have the chronic stress in there day in and day out, that still won't improve. So it is still up to the person to make sure that they're having the homework in place, the methods to have, that they can do something at home to help change this.
So it would be a combination of the Avasi will help them from day to day with day-to-day pain, while it's still creating an environment in the tissue for the body to heal itself. And then you give them the additional homework with posture and whatnot to help make that grab hold and
absolutely. It's
turn around.
Basically, is this area isn't because of age. It's because of the stress that person's being under. Now, it becomes greater as they do age because it's more chronic. But what we have to do is address it's deconditioned, meaning that this area has been beaten down and broken down for so long that it's chronic. So we start addressing the deconditioned area and work on the compensation that may be taking place. For example, a person like that, they're going to have tighter muscles in the front. Their neck muscles are going to be a little tighter. But what they're going to be suffering from is this unrelenting tightness into their shoulders and in their neck. So they think, well, I just need to stretch through here. The problem is, this is like a rubber band. It's been stretched already. So we work on opening up the chest, bringing the shoulders back, then really working on getting communication to this area. Now we're alleviating the stress that's being put in that neck.
Now the stress on the neck, can that reach down past the shoulder blades?
Absolutely. I mean, this right here can be an underlying thing for people with low back problems. And even with some of the devices that we're able to do biofeedback, I've found that a lot of times we get inflammation, the stress up in the neck, I get degeneration down in the low back. So the numbers are actually lower. So if we throw out some examples, we want to see something maybe 25 to 35 in that biofeedback range. Degeneration is going to be below 25. So I get down to the low back where they may have some of that stiff, tight, not moving as well as it should. It's in the low 20s. Yes. So it tells me that we've got some things that are starting to creep on, even though they don't have a symptom. We're not always looking at the symptoms, but we have to look at the entire function of that body. So this here, when I see something like that on the spine, on this x-ray, it starts to show that there's more things that are starting to go on just because it's in this area. We want to look at the entire body. So that's the nice thing about having the biofeedback in the Avazi device. It allows me to kind of look at, see what else is going on.
And with the low 20s, for example, because if you don't have a pro sport, you won't really know what that means, but that's telling us that the tissue is degenerative, which really, don't let it scare you. But it does mean that there's low blood flow, there's low energy in the tissue. So with the Avazi, we can help address that as well as
improving that circulation.
The entire spinal column.
Absolutely. So it does. So this gives me some good information on what's going on, but then it also helps me look at, okay, what can we do to start to retrain that body to help address that.
This is an example of two ways of looking at the same problem and finding a way that leads to a resolution of the problem without interfering with body systems, with drugs that are toxic to our system.